Damn, Danny. Damn, Danny.
That sound, I got that heat, let's go.
And we are live. Oh man, here we go, a Sunday edition. I actually didn't have this originally planned, but I don't know. Sometimes I feel like the momentum of the channel requires you to do some things that could be beneficial. I think trying to reach more folks here on the platform, doing my best to try to get the channel some traction in terms of consistency with the uploads, in terms of live streams, trying to kind of, I guess, play that balance, I think is important. I know you guys appreciate the interaction. You guys know I do, which is why I like to do the live streams. And I try to pick the topics that I think you guys are find most value in. Of course, NFL, NBA, that's typically what I do. I don't know how much MLB I'm ever going to get to, but there's some stuff to discuss here in today's live stream. As you guys come in, please do me a solid and just give this video a like and a share. If you have socials that you can share to, that's huge. Let people know what we're doing here. We're probably going to take some calls. I'm going to let you guys kind of tap in and give me your thoughts and opinions on what's going on in the world of sports. There's some stories that are, I think, are kind of important and pretty big in terms of NBA and NFL. And I made 32 ounces of coffee. I'm ready to give this a good hour, a dedicated hour to talk sports with you guys. And I tried to include as much of it in the title as I could so you guys would know the roadmap of the show. All right, so we got a Micah Parsons story, that thing that's going on with Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, literal like public negotiations, jockeying for position. I'm going to talk kind of like what that situation is and what it isn't. Obviously, anything involving Cowboys is big. Micah Parsons, a phenomenal talent, a unique player, very prominent in the league for sure. So it's a big story. We're going to talk Terry McLaurin and the Washington football team, Commanders, whatever they're known as this time around. They are coming off a huge year, and their momentum, they definitely want to maintain it. So that's kind of a situation. Terry McLaurin, the Ohio State. You want to get that contract situation taken care of and addressed. That is not something you want to drag on. Disgruntled wide receiver is not good. So some of that contract stuff is really what's in play here for the NFL stories. There's also a really unfortunate situation with a LA Chargers player that's really bad. Unfortunate, but I mean it's going to impact that team. He's a good player. Let's see what else we're going to talk. We're going to talk Luka. He just re-signed with the Lakers long term. The Lakers have their guy for the future. That's the direction of the team moving forward. That's the direction of the league. Right? Luka is that big. You know what I mean? So we'll talk that as well. What else we're going to discuss? Jonathan Kuminga, actually. And I think that's kind of where we're going to start here. Let me see if I can pull this up here. I'm going to start with this Jonathan Kuminga situation. All right. I don't know, like, if every casual NBA fan knows who Jonathan Kuminga is. I think most people who follow the league closely know who he is, and they know the team he plays for, and he's a really good player, actually. I think very misunderstood, in my opinion. And I'm going to get to some of the things that this kind of complicated with Jonathan Kuminga. So to kind of start first with what things have been going on for Jonathan Kuminga recently. All right, so first of all, Jonathan Kuminga is a really good player. He's a bucket getter. Like, he's the type of dude, type of player, you can give him the ball and he'll create offense. He may not necessarily be creating for his teammates. I don't know if he's that kind of player where he makes others around him that much better. Like, I don't know how much he upgrades his teammates. He definitely brings gravity to a team because he commands a lot of defensive attention. Because if you leave him alone in isolation and you have average or below average defenders defending him, he's going to cook them. Like, he is a very good offensive player. He's not a finished product. His game is going to continue to improve. He's very young, right? He's on an early contract with his current team, Golden State. Now, all of that to say this about the situation with Kuminga and the Warriors. What the Kuminga camp is doing is they're looking to enhance the value of Jonathan Kuminga. What they need is playing time. What they need is game experience. What they need is a specific role within that system that allows him to flourish. Well, they're not really getting that in Golden State. So if you ask Kuminga and his camp and his agent, they're looking for greener pastures. I think the contract offer that they received most recently from the Warriors was something like 2 years, 40 some $1 million. Okay, so he's going to believe that he's worth way more. He probably is looking for something in the neighborhood of 30 or 35 million a year. So they're not close. Now, whether or not you believe he deserves that kind of money is one thing. But whether he gets it or not is a totally different thing. There's a team out there willing to pay him more money per year. There always is a team like that. There's been some trade proposals that the Warriors have declined. I know recently there was one reported to the Sacramento Kings. Kuminga would definitely have a role with the Kings, right? It would be a very prominent role, actually. He would easily become a top offensive weapon for them. They would probably build their offensive schemes and philosophies around what he can and can't do. The Kings offered Malik Monk a lottery protected 2030 first round pick. And I think also a 2031 first rounder from San Antonio or something like that. So some picks, unprotected picks. Kuminga wants a bigger role. So Sacramento could offer him that. Kuminga wants more money, probably, right? The role, the money, they go together. And he would probably get that from the Kings. The issue here is that Golden State's not playing nice. They're not going to facilitate him leaving, them not returning value, him getting his way. I get a lot of, I get the vibes that the Warriors are kind of standing in his way. And that's been the situation for a couple of years now. You don't really see Steve Kerr looking to develop Jonathan Kuminga with a bigger role and with like a more pronounced responsibility in the offensive philosophy of the team. Steve Kerr has a system. He wants to stick with that. He wants to go that direction. Kuminga kind of doesn't fit that mold because it's a Steph system. It's a Draymond system. It's the ball movement. It's those guys being threats. Kuminga's role on the Warriors is like this guy that comes off the bench and just works kind of on his own. Isolation, isn't really a fabric of their primary offense. He's more of a fabric of their secondary offense and kind of coming off of the bench. It's a bad situation. It's not what Kuminga wants. It's not what the Warriors want. There's a little bit of spike going back and forth. This is typical of NBA teams that are not facilitating to the player, that they don't seem like it's a long-term solution for them. The irony of it all is why the hell the Warriors don't move on from him. Either accept the trade, work a trade, or just, obviously he could end up going. You look at contractually what could happen in the next couple years. Kuminga's going to get paid, be it from the Warriors or not. But the Warriors aren't doing him any favors. Now, here's the big issue. What the Warriors look like optically is they're looking like a team and an organization that isn't treating their drafted players well. Which I don't know. Does Kuminga strike you as a malcontent? Does he seem like a guy who's disruptive in the locker room? I haven't really heard those things. Maybe there's a little bit of a disjointed or, fissure that's happened between him and the coaching staff, Kerr, namely. Maybe the GM doesn't want to pay him, doesn't want him long-term. We don't know everything, but it doesn't look good from the outside. I think the outcome of this situation is probably him leaving, being traded, the Warriors returning value. Even though he's a good player and they should look to integrate him, it just doesn't look like it's destined for that. I don't get it. I don't really get it at all. I don't see how you couldn't figure out a situation or a solution for this particular problem The bigger issue right now for the Warriors is they've got an older team. You have Jimmy Butler, who's in his mid-30s. You have Steph, who's entering his late 30s, right? I think he's 37. And Draymond Green I think he's in his early 30s, but like his game has not evolved. Like he's been the same player he's always been. You know what the limitation is with Draymond, you know? Uh, what else can we say about Draymond Green? We saw what happened between him and Jordan Poole. How the Warriors haven't done anything with that situation, I don't know. Still with Draymond, riding with Draymond. I mean, maybe they're committed to him long term, that sort of thing. The Steph situation and Jimmy's situation, they're just older players. You need the youth. You need to develop your young players. You have is it Quentin Post? You got Pods, Moses Moody. I mean, you've been drafting players. So what's the development side of your team, your organization? Jonathan Kuminga leaving, just a bad look. You're gonna have to draft another guy anyways. You have to keep drafting players. I don't know. Pretty bad situation. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but he's gonna end up getting paid. He's gonna end up somewhere where he's gonna be with a team that wants him. The Warriors should just facilitate what's best for the two parties. Win-win situation where both can kind of get their, I don't know, get where they want to go, I suppose. All right, let's go this direction. Let's switch up from the NBA. Let's go to the NFL right here. All right. This situation is just kind of like a news situation. I saw this. This was in the NFL news cycle. Where is it? Let me see if I can find it. I thought I had it lined up. And this is an LA Charger player. I don't know how much you guys follow the LA Chargers, but they've got a player that's in the news. Denzel Perryman arrested in Los Angeles for possession of an assault weapon. NFL linebacker Denzel Perryman. All right, so this linebacker, 32 years old, he played. Man, what did he have? He had a sack last year. I think he played with the Texans before that. Weapons charge for this guy. All right, Denzel Perryman, not good. I don't know all the details of this this arrest, but they're still gathering facts, and according to Denzel, he's going to be complying and cooperating with the process. This happened Friday. He's going to be meeting with the NFL Players Association. He's going to be meeting with law enforcement. He's going to have a court date. This guy had major artillery in his trunk. AR rifles, handguns. Wow. According to this, he is in jail as of yesterday, and he's got court on Tuesday. And this is, I guess, his first potential felony charges in his life. I don't know what else is going on. He was originally drafted by the team in 2015. He came back to the Chargers after being away from the team. I think he played with the Panthers, the Raiders, and then the Texans. He's going to be missing games. This guy is going to be missing games. He's going to be out for a while, and I don't know how they view him. They could cut him, move on. That's just a news blurb, I guess, for the LA Chargers. Continued issues around the NFL and their players involving these types of situations, not good. So that's really bad. Just wanted to give you guys that update because that's news. What else do we want to cover here? This one's kind of more important in my opinion. All right, I want to talk about this situation with Terry McLaurin. Man, Okay. Scary Terry. This would be the deep threat for the Washington Commanders. This would be the sure hands for the Washington Commanders. He is their best weapon that Jaden Daniels has to throw to. The productivity of Terry McLaurin, I just want to kind of talk his numbers. And this is why it's a slam dunk. And it's literally should be a no-brainer for what this guy has done in the league. This is crazy. We have a guy who is an 80-plus reception receiver. This guy is a young player, right? He's got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's played 6 NFL seasons. God permitting, health permitting, this guy is going to be playing at a high level for a while. Typically, receivers can, especially the great ones. He had, I believe, 1,000 yards in every season of his career except for the first one, where he had 919 yards, right? So he's a 1,000-yard receiver, automatic. He's clearly a deep threat because his average on a catch is like over 15 yards for his career or something, 14 yards. He's a game breaker. He's got plays where he's breaking them for 80 plus. He had 13 TDs last year, catching the ball from Jaden Daniels. Listen, man, 13 TDs. You gave this guy a legitimate quarterback, and he produced. Prior to this, the quarterback situation in Washington was bad. You see 4 TDs, 5 TDs, 7 TDs his rookie season. You have to re-sign this guy. He's 29 years old. He isn't even 30. He still has seasons where he can catch 13 touchdowns, 15 touchdowns. He still has the potential to be a 100-catch receiver if you give him that kind of volume. I mean, he's a game-breaking player. And you have a young quarterback in Jaden Daniels who's literally all upside from here. He got your team, him and Scary Terry, to the NFC Championship game where they eventually lost to the Super Bowl winning Philadelphia Eagles. This is your future. It's him and it's your quarterback. You have to lock up these guys long term. I don't know what exactly is taking so long, but according to reports, the Steelers have officially called Washington in the attempts to trade for Terry McLaurin. All right, now, why would Pittsburgh be in on this? Well, okay, so he's a great player. He's 29 years old. They recently acquired DK Metcalf, and they have this, we'll call it the final hurrah season of Aaron Rodgers. Give him weapons and see what you can get. It's like your last hurrah. And who knows, right? Maybe you strike lightning in a bottle or whatever. So it kind of makes sense to inquire. I don't know how much draft capital it would take, but if Terry McLaurin is unhappy in Washington because of contract issues, this would be, first of all, the biggest mistake Washington would have made in a long time. I think you got to lock up Terry McLaurin, definitely. How often do you get a player of this caliber who is this good this soon and still has some upside? If the Steelers were to acquire McLaurin, they're instant contenders, right, to win their division, to compete in the division. I mean, the Steelers are a legitimate contender today, as is. We know about their defense. Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be throwing a ton of picks. He's still capable of making some of the throws. The running game, the commitment to that, you've got the leadership and the coach and the pedigree of the team. This would really enhance their opportunities to compete in the playoffs, of course. You get the whole season to kind of figure things out and go from there. I don't think Washington would mess this up. I don't think they would let Scary Terry go. I think they have to just figure out how much that money is going to be and how long the contract will be, how much is guaranteed. I think it's just technical stuff, right? But officially reaching out from the Steelers means that other teams they're interested too. I don't know how much of a fit McLaurin is, like DK Metcalf on the other side. I mean, both these guys are going to want 100 plus targets. So, and I don't think there are 100 plus targets for both these guys for Aaron Rodgers. I don't think he's throwing the ball 45, 50 times a game. So, but Metcalf and McLaurin would be kind of cool in terms of like, the potential or whatever. Let's see here. I don't know what other teams would be involved. There's no way Washington's going to let him go to an NFC East team. Washington cannot even let him go, period. This is just a no-brainer. They can't mess this up. No way. Just monitor the situation. I don't know how legitimate it is that he ends up in Pittsburgh or whatever. I think it's a very low probability, but you never know. We'll continue to monitor. Dude's too good. Washington would be really dropping the ball. Okay. All right. Next topic. This one is kind of funny, a little bit of tongue in cheek in here, but I was listening to, I forget who I was listening to. They were talking about the Madden ratings. I think it was like Cam Ward came in, rookie, quarterback for the Titans. I think he's rated like a 72. Players are always complaining about their Madden ratings. Why it occupies them so much, I don't know. Maybe because those players that complain about the rating, maybe it's because they play Madden and they want to have a better rating. How much do the ratings mean to their careers? Absolutely nothing. It doesn't impact people's perceptions of them. It doesn't impact their play on the gridiron on Sundays or whatever. Most recently, so they were talking about Cam Ward. He was upset with his rating being at 72. People are upset about that. I want to say like Lamar Jackson was, as a rookie, like Cam Ward was or is. I think his Madden rating was like a 75 when he was drafted. I think Josh Allen's was in the 70s. And we're talking about guys that are MVPs, right? So being rated a 72 as Cam Ward, like, who cares? And remember, these Madden ratings get updated all the time, weekly, regularly, all those things, like with the updates to the game. But anyways, Colts Jonathan Taylor has criminally low Madden rating. All right. New Madden game, Madden 26. This is crazy. Listen, Jonathan Taylor is really, really good. He's like, in essence, like one of the best backs in the league. I mean, if you name guys that are better than him, you'd be splitting hairs. Somebody else would have a position where they could disprove you. They'd say no. There aren't better guys than Jonathan Taylor. He's the best. Like you got your Saquons. He obviously is a game-breaking, huge playmaking running back with like incredible potential to just an 80-yard run, get through the tackles and find a gap, and he's gone. Catching the ball, very dynamic in the open field, making people miss, hurdling over players backwards. Like it's crazy. And that's part of the Madden game ratings. It's like physiological traits. It's not just being an effective player. It's like the special things you do as a player gets you higher ratings. I think that's what maybe some of these people are missing out on. Jonathan Taylor has been injury prone during his career. Let's see. He said, it says Taylor rushed for over 1,400 yards and 11 TDs in 2024. There's not much else you can ask out of a guy. And he's averaged over 4 yards a carry every season. It's not because he doesn't produce on the football field. That's not the issue. I think it's some of the things that I mentioned previously. I think it's more so the things that are like the game-breaking dynamics, pass catching. Like does he have a justification to be rated, over an 88? What the hell's wrong with an 88 anyways? Like, I don't really get it. Like, he's an all-pro running back. He's fantastic every year. He's had some injuries. like he doesn't have like every single thing that Saquon Barkley has, right? Let's just take a look at some of the numbers. Jonathan Taylor. Let's look at some of his stats because he's been producing at a high level. I mean, hell, if you've had him in your fantasy leagues, you've been kicking ass. All right. This goes back to 2020. He had 232 rushing attempts, 1,100 yards on the ground, 5 yards per carry average, 11 TDs, 36 receptions. That's a nice player. That's a player that's doing everything you're asking him to do. The occasional pass catching, maybe it's whatever, third downs or something. I don't know. 2021, about the same in terms of production and the receiving side. 1,800 yards rushing. He rushed the ball 100 more times in 2021 and then ended up averaging more per carry at 5.5 yards, got 18 TDs. He was getting all the goal line touches, making huge plays. I would guess that his 2021 rating, he was probably a 90-something. But if you look since then, he's been injury prone. He's got less rushing attempts because he's less available. Still a good player, averaging 4.5 rushes a carry. He had 7 TDs in 2023, hit 11 TDs in 2024. He's receiving, his reception numbers have gone down. His rushing is still very effective. But that's kind of my point. What's going to enhance your rating in Madden is going to be the ability to do all things and to do them spectacularly. Is Jonathan Taylor going to be hurtling over people backwards? Saquon Barkley is the highest order when it comes to Madden ratings. I'm sure he's probably like a 99 or something. I don't know what's the realistic expectation is for a player like Jonathan Taylor, who's basically, he's one-sided offensively, right? In terms of he's rushing the ball. He's not giving you the receiving production that a Saquon Barkley is. I'm using Saquon Barkley as the benchmark because he's probably the highest rating running back. I'm not sure if that's the case, but I'm assuming it is. He doesn't have the receiving. He doesn't have the freakishly incredible athleticism that Saquon does. Jonathan Taylor's a good athlete. That's not the issue. Just Saquon's just different. It's just somebody's got to be rated an 88, an 89, a 90. And if Jonathan Taylor plays well, his rating can go up over the year. Why, he couldn't be 90 after week 2? Let's say he rushes for 150 yards and 2 TDs against a good defense. His rating could go up to a 93. I don't know. Like, why is this a big deal that he was only rated an 88? Criminally low? 88 seems fine. And if you look at his rushing abilities, like, the game sliders, and you look at specific traits, I bet you his ability to run through the tackles, his ability to break tackles, shed tackles, his goal line attributes, his propensity for finding the pay dirt, I bet you it's really high. Where he's probably getting brought down in his scoring or his evaluation is probably in the lack of, prolific receiving numbers or abilities, right? I don't know. I haven't watched Jonathan Taylor in a long time. I just see it week to week. He's making these huge rushing plays. But what's his pass blocking like? Is it average? Is it above average? Is it very good? I'm sure it's fine. I've never heard anybody say Jonathan Taylor's a bad blocker. I mean, I've never heard anybody say he's a great blocker, so he's not perfect as a player or whatever, but I don't know, a little bit of it happens every year. The Madden stuff always gets me. All right. Moving on. This one's probably a little bit bigger in terms of scale of the problem. Micah Parsons, Jerry Jones, Dallas Cowboys, man. Sheesh. This is a situation. Micah Parsons is a great player. I don't think anybody's going to deny that. He's a young player. He's 25, 26 years old. Might be turning 27 possibly this year. The defensive end, the shining star defensive end for the Dallas Cowboys, in a public spat contract dispute. That's just really ugly and bad. Not good, man. Not good at all. He's been really productive as a player so far in his career. Listen to these numbers. As a rook, right? 13 sacks. As a second-year player, 13 and a half sacks. As a third-year player, 14 sacks. Productivity up the wazoo. 12 sacks last year. He's been really, really good. He's been really, really good. A great player. I don't think anybody can deny the ability. I don't think anybody is worried about his ability to play. He's got, 10 or so forced fumbles as a player in his young career so far. Very, very disruptive. He's got tons of solo tackles. Doesn't really get a lot of interceptions, lots of tip balls and stuff like that. I think he had a fumble recovery for a TD a few years ago. His ability to just disrupt, I think goes without saying how good this guy is. The problem here is not really Micah Parsons, in my opinion. It's mostly Jerry Jones. You can always attribute, it's a two-way street, right? You have the player, you have the GM, you have the team. In this case, Jerry Jones, he is the team, he is the GM, he is the owner. His philosophy of publicly negotiating and trying to drive down player value is it's well documented. Jerry Jones, as world-renowned as he is one of the worst owners in the league. I've spoken publicly about that. I've always said that. I say that about the Cleveland Browns owner, Jimmy Haslam. Loud owners are bad owners. You know, Robert Kraft in New England, he was kind of like the exception. He was like always viewed favorably, but he only said good things about his coach. He only said good things about his players. He doesn't move like Jerry does. You know, Jerry, it's just always this like negative connotation when it comes to his public spats with players, negotiations, and all of that. It's just stupid. Looking at Micah Parsons, outside of the productivity and his ability as a player, it's not an issue. The salary stuff, right? He's ready to get paid. And that's why this whole thing is public. He's going to probably make, I think, about $24 million this year. But the goal is to lock him up long-term. He wants to get long-term money, multiple years, big money. He's probably going to double his salary, right? He's probably set to become the highest paid defensive end, right? Like he's in that kind of position. And that's what Jerry Jones always does. Like he did this with Dak. He did this with Zeke Elliott. They take it to the public so they can drive down value. But what they're doing is they're making things complicated and ugly. Jerry Jones recently had a message for the fans in wake of Micah Parsons officially requesting a trade, wanting a trade out of Dallas. Jerry Jones said, quote, "I would say to our fans, don't lose any sleep over this." I actually agree with him. I wouldn't lose sleep over this. Micah Parsons wants to be in Dallas long term. In Dallas, he can make big money. In Dallas, not just in salary from the Cowboys, but big market. It's a football market. There's a name brand equity with the Cowboys that he can leverage. You saw what Dak Prescott was able to do, even with limited success. What has Dak Prescott accomplished so far with the Cowboys? What have the Cowboys accomplished so far with Dak? And he was getting, advertising opportunities, marketing opportunities, sponsorships, and all those things, with accomplishing nothing. But he's in Dallas, right? That's what Micah wants too. Jerry Jones went on to say that Micah Parsons requesting a trade is just part of negotiations. It's actually true. That is facts. Now, Parsons requesting a trade publicly through social media on Friday, Parsons said he did everything to show he wanted to stay with the Cowboys. That's besides the point. We all know he wants to be with the Cowboys and wants to stay with the Cowboys. But now we all need to recognize and realize this is part of the negotiation tactics. He ain't going nowhere. Some of the comments from Micah are kind of crazy. Listen to this. Quote, I no longer want to be held to closed-door negotiations without my agent present. That's a Jerry thing. I no longer want shots taken at me for getting injured while laying it on the line for the organization, our fans, and my teammates. I no longer want narratives created, spread to the media about me. I purposely stayed quiet in hopes of getting something done. I don't think this kid understands. You don't get to choose your terms when it comes to the media and the court of public opinion. If you're Micah Parsons, welcome to the big league, where the media controls narratives and the media reports things the way they want to. And it's Dallas and it's Jerry Jones. Salute, Micah. What up, brother? Good to see you, man. Hey, it's early morning for you, man. I've been up for 3 hours cooking. Yeah, Micah Parsons is trying to make himself look like a victim. Everybody who plays in Dallas understands how it goes. You're not unique. Tony Romo lived this life. Zeke Elliott lived this life. Dak Prescott lived this life. All the Cowboys players who wanted to get paid over time, they all live this. It's part of the Jerry Jones experience, if you will. These public spats are it's just how it goes. You don't get to choose that. Parsons said that there has been radio silence from the Cowboys in regard to any potential contract extension after last season. Quote, yet still not a call, email, or text to my agent about starting a negotiation. Up to today, the team has not had a single conversation with my agent about starting a negotiation. Not one demand has been made by my agent about money, years, or anything. This is just business, Micah. So what Micah's trying to do, I think, take this public, make it look like the ball's in Jerry's court, and he has nothing to do with it. Micah says, my cousin wants out. While I live Cowboys drama, Parsons does seem to whine here and there. But Micah, I think it's a situation. It's just they're public negotiations, right? I don't think Micah hates Jerry, and I know that Jerry doesn't hate Micah. These guys don't hate each other. It's just public jockeying for position. It sucks, right? Because it's like airing out the dirty laundry, if you will, I guess. But Micah's not a bad guy, and Jerry wants him locked up long term with the team. It's the star power. He knows what he could do, It's just public negotiations. Anyways, a deal's going to get done. Mark my words. A deal gets done well before the season ends. A deal probably gets done at some point in the middle of the year. You're going to wake up like October 2nd, and the deal is going to be reached. There'll be some more of this public stuff. Parsons has played 63 games in his NFL career, and he has almost 53 sacks. Where do you find that? Parsons has over 170 solo tackles. He's forced 9 fumbles. He's a game-breaking talent. They don't want him going anywhere. I think a deal gets done, absolutely, Micah. I'm talking within a month or two. You're not going to let this drag on. He's just too damn good. You know what I mean? Too damn good. All right, so there's that. He's going to break the bank. He's going to make a lot of money. You guys know how Jerry does it. And then he'll underachieve according to somebody's standards, and then everybody's going to be pissed and all that other stuff. Oh, man. All right. Oh, Micah. Salute to Micah in the live chat. Wanted to discuss some of this Luka situation with the Lakers. We got a good situation on our hands, bro. Absolutely. Luka is here to stay. Look at him, man. Literally got paid. Look at him, bro. Look at him in the picture, man. He realized how much money he was making. He's like, yeah. He realized he's going to be with the organization for a long time, you know? Man, life is good if you're Luka Doncic. All right, let's talk winners and losers from Luka's re-signing with the Lakers, with a 3-year deal. Okay, so the way that this is structured, he'll be making like $56 million a year. He'll be with the team for the next several years. He'll be in line to make another record-breaking contract after the next 3 years. It's Luka's world. In terms of the Lakers' world, it's Luka's world. The Lakers will be tasked with trying to win championships with him as the lead. He's going to be turning, I think, 26 this year. Seems to be fit, healthy, happy. Lakers will try to build on restructuring the roster around him so that way they have a chance to compete for championships. Now, what Rob Pelinka and the Lakers are going to do is they're going to have to build a roster that's going to be like what happened in Dallas. Remember, the Dallas Mavericks with Luka, when they went to the finals and lost to the Celtics, they weren't perfect, but the Mavericks put pieces around Luka that allowed him to kind of have a de-emphasis of the things he can't do or doesn't do well and allow them to shine through the things that he does do well, right? It's obviously an offensive focus. It's shot creation. It's scoring for himself. It's helping others, getting high quality looks. It's all those things. The Lakers have to build Dallas 2.0 that got to the finals a couple years ago. Remember, it was Kyrie, it was Gafford, it was PJ Washington. You got to put together the role players that fit the needs that Luka doesn't necessarily do well. And no player can do everything. You need complementary pieces. They bring in DeAndre Ayton that addresses the big deficiency that the Lakers have. They likely need something else too. They bring in Marcus Smart to play, obviously, some perimeter defense. I mean, that's his calling card. The dude won DPOI a few years ago. People forget that about Marcus Smart. The reason Marcus Smart didn't get re-signed or stay in Boston was because they had an opportunity to get Kristaps Porzingis, who they thought could help them win a championship. They knew what they had in Marcus Smart, but they also had a young up-and-coming Derek White, which they bet on, and there you go, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. The Celtics just redoing the roster, and all that. But the Lakers are in Luka mode, and Luka mode means it's not LeBron mode anymore. And that was clear last year. That was clear in February of last season. LeBron's time in LA, 7 years, he went there after the 2018 season with the Cavs. They got the championship in 2020, which a lot of people don't much care for. I mean, I think there's a contingency of people that view LeBron's era in LA, they view it as a success because you got a championship. But if you notice, like people talk about an asterisk and it's not really a real championship. To me, it's a chip. There's a championship banner in the rafters in, the crypto arena or whatever it's called. The championship is there. LeBron, Anthony Davis, they brought that home. So there's a championship during LeBron's era. That's a good argument to make that it's a successful stint for LeBron. The other years were not very good. Well, I should say several of the years were not very good. You have years where they missed the playoffs. You have years where they were bounced quickly. A sweep against the Nuggets a few years ago in the Western Conference Finals. Getting swept is bad especially if you're the Lakers. But you lost to the champions. So there's that. You were in all those games. You should have won some, So, there's things you can critique and say it's not a success. I get it. But you got a championship during the LeBron era. I mean, ideally, you would have liked two. Anthony Davis was there. You put a team together that was really good, and I don't know. Um, I don't know how everybody views the LeBron Laker era, but this is a new one. And Luka and the Lakers, the expectations for Luka in LA now, as they build around him, watch it over the next couple years. If they put good pieces around him and they have regular season success, and Luka's winning like the MVP and he's all NBA and all those things, and if they don't win championships, and I said chips, listen carefully, multiple. If you put pieces around Luka, and he is who the Lakers thought he was, you need chips because he's 25, 26 years old. If you get him for a 10-year run, you want chips. You know why? Because Kobe provided chips. Shaq provided chips. Magic provided those. Kareem. The stars in LA don't get one championship. They get many. That's really the only difference between LeBron and like what I call the real Laker greats. I don't really view LeBron as a Laker. And I have yet to really let the Luka Doncic Laker identity, it hasn't really synced in. Like I know he plays for the Lakers, but he hasn't won a chip for the Lakers yet. You know what I'm saying? I think once or if Luka wins a championship with LA and then, you start talking about a repeat or a second one, like it's crazy to think like that's the LA Laker expectation is multiple championships and dominance and repeats. Think about the Lakers with Kobe at the end of the 2000s. 2 championships, but they had a chance to get 3. Earlier in the decade with Shaq and Kobe. 3 championships back to back to back, right? You have multiple back-to-backs, Think about the dominance in the 80s with Magic and Kareem and championships with Jerry West and Wilt Chamberlain and after his run with his previous teams. Like there's so much greatness in the Lakers that you got to win multiple. And I know Micah is a lifer. Micah is a lifelong Lakers fan. He'll tell you all that matters is chips. The other stuff is just not good enough. Micah said, to a degree we're dealing with another LeBron, but Luka is more skilled and seemingly isn't a narcissist. Yeah, I mean, at this point in his career, you've made the trade for Luka, and the expectation is, this guy's going to be the one for the Lakers for the next decade. So, in terms of expectations, Micah says 2 to 3 rings would be a successful run. Yeah, I mean, one is good, right? A championship. That's the ultimate prize. 2's probably what they're thinking. 3 is probably what they're thinking. I mean, but they got to put the team around him. And there are some Lakers fans who doubt that Rob Pelinka can do it. I don't know. He did it in 2020. I don't know what happened with the whole like JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard, the roster construction, Alex Caruso. They changed the team. They didn't let them try to defend their title run. Anthony Davis, LeBron, that whole thing. Probably should have kept it together, right? But man, this is what it's going to be. Moving forward, it's going to be Rob Pelinka. It's going to be Luka. It's going to be the players that they put around him. 2026, 2027, there's going to be a lot of roster moves for the Lakers. You know what I mean? They're going to be making a lot of moves. Rob right now is not the problem. I'd agree with that statement. Absolutely. I don't think Rob is the problem. I think, Rob now has his star for the future, right? Now Rob has his guy. If the question was, I don't have the player or whatever, you made the move. You have your star. So, I mean, what would be the excuse if he didn't win? All right, so what do the Lakers have to put around Luka? So I'm just talking strictly hoops. Look, I don't think the Lakers are going to win a championship this year. I'm not going to lie to anybody and try to pretend like they're going to be a real contender. How? How are you going to win an NBA championship? You explain to me. If I look, let's start at the top. The head coach, JJ Redick, was basically outcoached by the Minnesota Timberwolves coach Finch, who I've never heard anybody say is a great coach. I mean, he's a fine coach. He's a good coach. But I never heard anybody say, man, this guy, X and O's, in-game decisions, adjustments, he's the best. You don't hear that about the Minnesota Timberwolves coaching. It's a fine coaching staff. He's a fine coach. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not trying to downplay it. But like JJ Redick was like coached off the floor. He made huge decisions that turned out to be the wrong ones. So he's an obstacle to the success of the Lakers, in my opinion. Why is that a problem? Like, people call me a JJ hater. I don't like the guy. I think he's a problem. I think he was a reason you didn't get to the second round last year. I think he's one of the reasons they were bounced out of the playoffs. Absolutely. He was an inexperienced coach. He is the smartest guy in the room. He's so tightly wound, he can snap at any moment. He has a lot of growth to do. He has a lot of growing to do. As a level-headed coach, press conferences, just the normal day-to-day stuff. He's just a nut job. If he learns to control some of that, which he's like 40 plus years old, what are you expecting from the guy to change about himself? He found himself as the Lakers head coach being what he is right now. He's going to think, well, I'm just going to keep doing this because look how it got me here. I think it ends badly for JJ Redick. I don't think he's going to be around much longer. He's connected with LeBron. He's not really a Lakers guy. Micah, do you think the Lakers keep JJ Redick after LeBron leaves after next year? I don't think so, personally. Right? I don't know. So, I mean, we'll just start at the top. JJ's an obstacle for success, at least for now. I stand by that. All right, LeBron, the elephant in the room. LeBron has a $52.6 million contract that he just signed. He's there for the year. What he does after this year, we don't know, but he is going to play as a Laker next season. Nobody's going to trade for LeBron. LeBron's not asking for a trade. All this stuff is window dressing, smoke and mirrors. Insert whatever cliche saying. LeBron's going to be viewed as prickly this year. You saw him, post a picture of him in the Clippers' former practice facility. That's on purpose. You see the messaging and the commentary into the media. I want to win now and bring players now and those kind of things. He didn't go to the Luka signing thing yesterday, which is not his fault, and it doesn't even matter. He didn't text or message DeAndre Ayton. That kind of looks bad. Optics. I don't know what people expect from LeBron. He's not a part of the Lakers' future. Why do they want him involved in like pressers with Luka? I don't know. Things optically won't really look great in LA. If they're winning, it's gonna look good. If they're losing and LeBron's walking off the court and doing all that stuff, it'll look bad. Is LeBron capable of looking like a malcontent? Of course. We've seen that. I mean, people remember when LeBron walked off the court against the Celtics, ripping off his jersey and all that stuff. I mean, I'm not a LeBron apologist, but he doesn't owe Luka anything. He doesn't owe the Lakers anything. Does he optically, is it going to look bad if he looks and appears and acts like a malcontent? Yeah, but LeBron thinks he's bigger than the game, and LeBron thinks he's bigger than the Lakers. I'm sure, in his mind, he's still that superstar. But clearly LA's moved in a different direction. He's 41 years old. I don't know. I think some people are a little delusional when it comes to the LeBron situation. It's going to look ugly at times. It's going to look messy at times. It's going to look like a circus at times. LA is crazy. There's expectations. There's star stuff. There's Micah said, and Sean has talked about this on the show about him being a narcissist. Sure, whatever. But I mean, it doesn't change what's real. And that's, he doesn't want to look like he's being stood up. And that's what he looks like right now. So he's probably bothered by that. So all these dynamics, and I don't know if DeAndre Ayton's going to be a good player in LA. He has the chance to be. He's playing with Luka Doncic and LeBron James. To me, that means rim rolls. That means opportunities and pick and rolls, that get you some pretty clean looks at the rim. I think for DeAndre Ayton, he should focus on being focused on his play, staying healthy so he plays a large, slew of games, soaking up the opportunities to look like he's having success. Because he can also end up staying long-term in LA too, which, like, for a player's career is good stuff, right? So he can kind of rekindle his career flame, which didn't look good in Portland, and it looked really bad at the end of the Phoenix era, right? So he can repair his career with Luka, with LA, the pieces they'll put around him, and those kind of things. You guys notice that all these guys are in different points of their career. Luka is now going to lead the LA Lakers for the foreseeable future. He is their core focus. DeAndre Ayton has a chance to kind of realign his career. Marcus Smart, come in and play a vital role. JJ, fix and repair the way things ended last season. Look like a competent coach. Improve year over year. LeBron, look, you made All-NBA second team last year. Do it again. Continue to look like the greatest of all time, right? I know it's a primary focus of him having a podcast that's promoting himself, promoting his brand, making the GOAT case every day, still being an All-NBA player and those things, competing, maybe not winning a championship, but competing day to day, regular season, play important high-stakes basketball in the playoffs with Luka, with Ayton, with JJ, all that stuff. And then you're I think what LeBron is trying to do is he's trying to set a precedence for older players that he, part of his greatness is the fact that he's into his 40s playing great basketball. Like, continue to do that and play meaningful basketball and, like, have people celebrate your career as you retire, here at the last stages. They're all in a different place in their careers, folks. It's just different for each of them. I think in regards, Micah, to JJ said, I will say his job has gotten incredibly harder since removing all those assets. Yeah. Yep. And the Western Conference is better this year than it was last year. Like, you have the same Thunder coming back. The Nuggets got better. Houston got better. The Spurs are going to be better. If the Warriors stay healthy, they're dangerous. Hopefully the Grizzlies get back on track. I don't know what that's going to look and sound like. I don't know. The Clippers added pieces, right? They were very competitive last year. We going to forget that the Clippers went 7 games with the Nuggets, and then the Nuggets went 7 games with the Thunder. Some good teams out west. And in the Eastern Conference, the Celtics are a non-factor. The Eastern Conference champions, they're basically dismantled. Miles Turner is gone. A torn Achilles is going to keep, Tyrese Halliburton out all year, in all likelihood. Stuff's up in the air. And there could be trades that are done in the season. Like, could Giannis move? Maybe. Players become available. Trade demands. I don't know. Stuff can happen. Micah said, I always wanted to like LeBron. He became a Laker, and I thought he deserved a shot. Once Kobe passed, his shenanigans came out. Micah, when it comes to the hoops, with LeBron, he's obviously a great player. I don't know what LeBron's intentions are for all the things he does publicly outside the game. You know what I mean? Like, when the whistles blow and the game starts, LeBron has always been a great player. What he's decided to do in terms of the things he says and does off the court, there's just some people that just don't like it. Some, like, for example, some of the things that I don't appreciate about what you're describing, the shenanigans. I don't like it when, like, LeBron said things about his teammates, because some of that connects to the game. If anything connects to basketball, if it's said or done off the court, that stuff bothers me because it still ties into basketball. And I think it starts having people resent him. Like the stuff he says on Mike's, like on his podcast about like the Wilt Chamberlain thing. Yeah, I guess he's taking a shot at the older generation, but it doesn't really bother me much. Like it's barbershop talk. You know what I mean? So it's not really a big deal. And I can't worry myself about every little thing everybody says. But I think the bigger issue is you have people that still to this day hold LeBron to this venom. They still have venom for him that dates back to the Miami Heat days when he made the decision to go to Miami in the manner that he did. And a lot of people feel like he shifted the competitive balance of the league. I was watching Q's video. Shout out to, what is Q's channel name? Oh, Opinion Stated. Yeah, he had a really good episode last night. I watched the whole thing. It was over an hour. He analyzed every phase of LeBron's career. He analyzed every basketball decision that LeBron made, but he kept it to hoops. I like those conversations. I think those are worth having. The antics off the court, man, if it doesn't have to do with hoops, it's more like rumor and conjecture. But he does a lot of that stuff, which is why I choose to look past it because, it's not really my cup of tea. Like when LeBron said that thing about Wilt Chamberlain on his podcast, or when LeBron talks about like, Giannis could score 200 in a game and stuff. It's just bull. It's just talk, bro. It's just, so it's meaningless. But the basketball stuff, I think, has more credence. Like what he did in Miami, that's worth being critical about. His second stint in Cleveland, that's an interesting conversation to have. The LA conversation is really good. Like, how successful is LeBron's tenure in LA? See, these are all basketball things, but like the Kobe thing, that's going to really razz LA fans who are Kobe fans. LA fans and Kobe fans are really synonymous. But LA fans, Laker fans, and LeBron fans are not. Right? There's a huge disconnect there. They are not the same. Lakers fans are Kobe's fans. Kobe fans are Laker fans. That's like a connection. That doesn't exist for LeBron. But I think, and this is what Opinion Stated, this is what Q had to say. LeBron's tenure with the Lakers, where LeBron is like, I don't know if you guys remember the quote after they won the 2020 finals in the bubble. LeBron's like, I want my damn respect. How much of that is tastefully done? The people who want grace, the people that want tastefulness out of LeBron don't get it. Therefore, they stay mad at everything he says and does. You know what I mean? A lot of the moments that LeBron has publicly are viewed and taken so negatively because LeBron doesn't move the way that people want him to. They want him to be more graceful. They want him to be more humble. They want him, but LeBron doesn't move that way. And that's not going to change. I really don't think LeBron is changing at this point of his career. He's won, 4 championships. He's won several league MVPs. He's the scoring leader. He's accomplished so much in the league. But people still will never come around to liking him after Miami. Like, that's the thing. And some people don't like what he says. Like when he said that right there made me the greatest of all time. Like that made those people even more mad and angry and resent him more. People resent LeBron. They always have, right? And I would say kind of all starting in the Miami decision. I don't know how many people really resented LeBron pre-Miami. I mean, there were some people that were saying pump the brakes. let's not get crazy here. He's not Michael Jordan. I think everybody knew he was going to be great. And some people maybe didn't necessarily like the Cavs. But I don't know how many people actually hated LeBron. I do think some people started to hate LeBron from the Miami decision. Hate's a strong word, but I do think that some fans do hate. When he went back to Cleveland, I think the hate diffused a little bit because they're like, okay, he's going back. That's kind of a good look to maybe win the championship for the city, for that team that drafted him, those kind of things. The storylines were a little more pleasant. He goes to the Lakers after winning a chip in Cleveland, and it's like a star. Kobe's retired. There was some potential there to do some great things too. They don't like the way the Kobe thing is happening. Like him, a lot of people say a lot of Kobe disrespect is coming out of his camp. Again, conjecture, and I can't disprove anything, so it's like whatever. But like it's almost to the point now where it's like too late to even worry about those things. You now have Luka. But there's still a lot of messy, ugly moments that could happen if LeBron goes about this in a distasteful way. It's not going to stain his legacy if he's practicing at the Clippers facility. We're talking about a guy who linked up with two other MVP caliber players in Miami. LeBron doesn't care about some of those things. He really doesn't, Micah says the Miami decision didn't really anger me. I thought it was a little self-centered, but it wasn't a huge deal. Some people it was, Micah. I understand that it wasn't for you in particular. A lot of Cleveland fans were probably really hurt by that decision and how the decision was delivered, I guess. I think the bigger issue for LeBron in his career, and it's a conversation worth having, is you went to Miami, you linked up with, Miami's best player, MVP, NBA Finals MVP champion, D Wade, and then you took Toronto's best player, who was an elite big in that era, who had MVP votes, was a multi-time All-Star, was a walking triple-double. You all link up and you win 2 championships in 4 years. It's so unique, that it's almost like the expectation was to win 4 championships. So they'll point to that and say that was an underachievement. And I actually agree. I do think the Miami Heat underachieved, winning 2 out of 4 championships. But they did get to the finals all 4 years. They lost the one to the Mavericks, which was crazy. Then they won it against the Young Thunder. And then they beat the Spurs the following year, which was, huge. And then they lost the following year. And, of course, LeBron set the standard. He said not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7. That's on him. See, that's the thing. Like, LeBron has to live with all that stuff. The internet is undefeated. There's footage of him saying all those things. Maybe it's a learned lesson for future stars. Luka, you don't hear him saying things like that. Maybe it's learned lesson. You turn it into a positive, I think his narcissistic side came out more after that. Get hung up on all his drama narratives, you'll end up hating it. Yeah, like for LeBron, I think, try to focus on the hoops. He had a great career, maybe not focus too much on the negative commentary or some of the goofy things that he says. Yeah, filtering it out. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I remember that. Not one, not two. He runs his mouth and someone typically puts a foot in there. Yeah, that happens for sure. But, it's all good. I don't know what LeBron's rest of his career looks like. I don't think he's made a decision on if he's going to play after next year. But I know that the Luka era is upon us. It's a new day. And the Lakers are going to focus on putting talent around Luka. And basically, like the LeBron era is done. It was done last year in February. Once the Lakers traded for Luka, that was the signal. That was the end for LeBron. And LeBron had a great run. He had a great run with the Lakers. He had a great run for a career. Now it's Luka's turn, Hey, Mike, I appreciate you for coming through, man, and hanging out with us tonight or this morning. Appreciate it very much. I'm going to go ahead and call that a stream. And I've got some videos that I'm going to be dropping today. I'm sure you guys will check them out and enjoy them. They're really good. I just dropped a couple this morning, actually. So make sure you guys check them out. I'll give LeBron props for always bouncing back. Remember when 50 Cent was exploding? That's an interesting comparison. Good stuff, Micah. But thanks for being here, everybody. Please do like and share the video on your way out. And thanks for hanging out and checking out our content. More videos up and coming. I got tons to drop. Stay tuned for those. Appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of the day. Happy Sunday to all, and we'll see you guys soon on the next one.